Hi everybody, welcome to the Cinegy NAB 2023 preview webinar. Thanks for joining me. Um, I'll be talking about where we are, what we're doing, and what you can talk to us about, and also who else is in Las Vegas during that week. So let's get going. So this will be 20 years since our first NAB. This year's model will be slightly different from what we've been doing before. For various reasons, which I'll be explaining to you. My name's Andrew, and I shall be at NAB as well, as we'll see later on. So the first thing is, where will you be finding us? I'll show you where exactly we are to be found. The NAB setup this year is different from previous years, and so we are not where we were before, but we should be fairly easy to locate. I'll also be talking about the products that we'll be emphasizing. Clearly, we can talk about our complete product range and all of our workflows while we're there, but there are certain things that we will be pointing up, new versions of our key applications that we'll be showing. I'll also run down the team who will be on the stand this year. It's a smaller team than we've done in the past, and there's reasons for that, but we'll get into that. And then I'll put some possibilities up for things you could talk to us about if you're there, where you might get some surprising answers if you ask us some questions. So draw back the curtains and have a look at where we are. If we look at the plan here, under the create box there, the arrow that points top-wise, the one that I'm pointing at, actually points almost directly at our stand, which is very kind of them to do for us. So we're in the North Hall. In the past, we were in the South Hall, and we had quite a nice little corner there, close to the food, which meant that a lot of people would walk past and see us and come and have a look. South Hall is not open, as you can see, this year. The West Hall, the new hall, is, however, open. That's what's different, as it were. We've also moved from a larger to a smaller stand because from last year we understood, as we ran a small stand, we ran an emergency stand for the first post-COVID NAB with only a small crew, and yet we did very well there and made some very interesting friends and did some interesting business. So we'll have a smaller stand than we've had in the past, but that's because we found we don't need a bigger one. There are people out there that have nice big stands, like Black Magic, and more power to them. But we'll be on a smaller stand with a smaller group this year, but we think it's going to be enough to meet everybody's needs. To look at the actual position in the hall, this is the North Hall. The entrance is at towards the bottom of the picture. And as you'll see, we are reasonably close to Everts and Ross and Black Magic, so it should be easy to locate us from those landmarks. It's a smaller stand, as said, but we will have screens, we will have demonstrations, and of course we will also have the products to be seen. We'll be showing the very latest Cinegy Air Pro, which has as new features Kantar audience measurement, which we've been asked about repeatedly in the last couple of years. It's now built in and available. It's becoming very, very important. We've also got Ross Talk built into Cinegy Air Pro now, which significantly extends the hardware that we can talk to, specifically Ross kit. We're also showing off Cinegy Title 22.12. Title, formerly Titler, has some lovely new features built into it now, including curves, which we never had before, and much, much better texture mapping and a whole bunch of other things to make strong, impactful branding for your content. We also have Cinegy Capture 22.12, also brand new, which has a raft of new features in it, but two that spring immediately to mind are BT 2020 color space support for UHD and the implementation of NDI 5.1, so that brings us up to date with other NDI products out there. Also, Cinegy Multiviewer 2210, also brand new, which also features NDI 5.1 and Event Manager integration. For those of you who are familiar with Cinegy, you will know that we use the Event Manager to communicate with external hardware. And by building the Event Manager into Cinegy Multiviewer and also into Cinegy Root, it allows for reaction to whatever is happening on the multiviewer by triggering an Event Manager action, undertaking an action in response to an error that the multiviewer picks up. And finally, as ever, we'll be showing 8K because we do it very, very well. We still don't believe that 8K is going to be a broadcast format anytime soon, but clearly as a production format for UHD content, it makes a lot of sense, much as people were long producing in UHD for HD output. So we see that 8K will be a good production format for UHD content, and it's ready for the future. The team that will be there in alphabetical order by first name puts me at the top. Andrew, I'll be there. Jan, our CTO and Managing Director, will also be present. Laura Tommen, one of the Cinegy US team, will be there to be seen. Lewis, our Head of Program Management, who many people already know, will be there. Tab, also part of the Cinegy US team, or the Cinegy US duo, put it that way, will be around. And finally, Yaroslav Kornietz, who is the product manager of Multiviewer, will be there to talk about Multiviewer. But Yaroslav is a very talented and competent guy and knows the whole product range very well. And he's also part of professional services, which is something I'd like to talk about in a second. So that's the gang that's going to be there. Things we're going to be happy to talk to you about. We're happy to talk about cloud. Cloud has been floating above the broadcast world now for some years, but initially cloud was simply a virtual machine on a VM host somewhere else, or as the old joke had it, your data on somebody else's computer. This is still a possibility for cloud, and we do have the possibility of using the cloud in that way. But with modern workflows, it's possible to start looking at different ways of fixing problems, different ways of getting stuff done. Hybrid setups that use some on-premise hardware and some cloud is one possibility there, where, for example, the cloud can be used for pop-up channels or something like that, while the main system runs on physical kit. That's one thing that's a possibility to talk about. Another one is cloud native working, because what the cloud always promised is now starting to happen, and that is to say, the application is opened up and the elements become services to which you can attach using an appropriate interface. Now, this is a different way of working from previously, but it allows for many, many new possibilities. And we're very excited about what we've been able to achieve so far. And we'll be very, very happy to discuss that with people who come past the stand to meet us. Another thing that we'll be very much happy to talk about is our professional services group. Our professional services group gives our customers the possibility of accessing our brain power for their purposes. So whether it's a proof of concept of a particularly interesting workflow, whether it's some scripts that need writing, whether it's consulting to see whether a certain approach is possible or feasible or sensible or not, or for in-depth training in our applications. The professional services group will always be able to help, but it goes beyond that because we also have the possibility of custom development. By that means things like feature requests and the like, but also project planning and implementation. We can work with you, and hardware integration, as for example the new Rosstalk integration that we have. This is an ongoing process, and we're always happy to talk to people who would like to see that sort of hardware integration for their project. So that's always something that you can talk to us about. Apart from NAB, what else is going on? Well, you can go and see some music and some magic. Sting is playing, Maroon 5, Barry Manilow, and the ever-present Penn and Tele can be seen. There's a bunch of other people playing, but their shows are already sold out, so I'm not even going to bother mentioning that. If you don't want to watch real performers, but instead want to watch fake ones, then you can go and see Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Prince, and the Bee Gees, none of whom are actually really there, but there's people who look like them and make a similar noise. So the plane flies away. Very short presentation this time. Again, thanks very much for joining us. If you have any questions, do please drop us a line at sales@cinegy.com. And for the rest, thanks for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.